Maybe.
So I'm not even counting the
No, maybe it's not correct.
That was what was given to us.
It's not correct. It's not correct.
It's okay. So probably in this
The entire budget is of Edo is 600 plus.
So
675. So how can
so maybe during the course of this, you may be telling us the correct figures. So where are we here, Honorable Commissioner?
Well, first I want to thank you and for finding it necessary to be here in my office, the office of the Honorable Commissioner for Energy and Water Resources. What you are doing here today is giving us a voice such that we can reach out to the Edo people under the direct supervision of Mr. Governor, who was given the mandate to lead Edo and provide, particularly in all sectors of this state, what the people necessarily would desire. Energy and water resources as a ministry stand on two legs, and those two legs are very essential to our day-to-day living, without which life can be seen as nasty and uninteresting. That tells you how important it is. I'm a Christian. In the creation story, I'm well seized of the fact, as presented to us by the Holy Book, that in the beginning the earth was without form or void. Then there was darkness, and the Spirit of God was moving upon the waters. And He said, "Let there be light." Water and light were there from the beginning, and they were seen as very important. Therefore, if you take cue from this biblical allusion, it leads you to one direction, that anyone who wants to prosper in life, any nation who wants to prosper, state who wants to prosper, the first thing to seek for is light. Light brings orderliness, and that is why this government recognizes the importance of power, as Christian as energy today, together with the fact that water is so essential to the well-being of human beings. Although this ministry can stand on different legs and still be big enough as a ministry, but assigning responsibilities to anybody lies strictly on the table of the governor, who has a mandate. He knows when to use and who to use for what responsibility and whatever. All he needs is result. Our track records speak for us. I'm not new here. I'm the Minister of Energy and Water Resources before now, in the last administration of Comrade Adams Ali Oshomole, the then governor, and also Ministry of Education. So my records are there. And relying on those records, he saw the need to bring me on board. I'm here. I'm here to do one thing: identify, brace them, deal with them, and put them behind me. If you know the problem is half solved. I've seen the problems, the gap between what is and what ought to be. So finding that gaps is no longer a problem. We're found it. What we need to do next will be the bridge between yesterday and today, so that we can have true good access to tomorrow. So when I came, I hit the ground running, and I visited Adams, Waterworks. I saw the gaps between what government used to be in the early 70s and 80s. We probably didn't participate as much, particularly in the 70s in that, but we're ready about them. Maybe at 80, still early enough in our age, we didn't quite understand what was going on, the role government was playing. But what was good enough, that is still very fresh in our memories today, is that we used to see that pink or that blue, dark blue copy, where you have the drawing, the sign of a running tap. And today we have come to know that that's what they call the bill, public utility bill, particularly for services rendered to you for water consumption. There are rates. We grew up and we discovered that it vanished. And when it was vanishing, we didn't know how soon it vanished. And perhaps looking back, if you ask me when exactly was that, we can hazard a guess, but we can't be too sure because we didn't notice that it was going, because we never thought it could leave.
Certainly.
So where we are today is that because nature abhors vacuum, and it is instinctual in every man to find ways and means of surviving, therefore, man, as a sophisticated machine, is always looking for solutions to problems. And because water is very necessary for man's survival, man has gone in search of finding their solutions for themselves. And that has led to the digging of boreholes. And what that means is that creating another problems by the proliferation of boreholes here and there. I'm worried about it because it seems that sector is largely left in the hands of non-state actors, unregulated without good policies, and all of it. Even where there are policies, the follow-up such that you can give the policy or policies a bite is also there, So I'm worried about it. Okay, nobody does soil sample, nobody does test. What is happening beneath the earth crust, we don't even know, by reason of unregulated water extraction from the earth crust. We don't know what is happening. But I'm worried. We're already looking at that. I think every government is aware of the role that the government is supposed to play in terms of providing water for the people. And because government over time, are not doing that, they tend to leave it unregulated, thinking that he who must come to equity must come with clean hands. If you want to regulate the process of people or citizens providing water for themselves, which is supposed to be your corporate responsibility to the people, then events are that there will be a moral burden on your conscience that you are not giving, people are giving, and you are attempting to regulate it. Where's your conscience? However, when conscience begins to play a role and puts, a hammer on you, that creates that gap that you seek to cover, even widen it the more. The truth is that things will go even worse. Unregulated water extraction from beneath the earth crust, for me, is dangerous. It is not an excuse that government is not providing, therefore, government will not regulate. Government has to regulate while seeking ways and means of also, fixing its own responsibilities to the people. Now, if not for any other reason, because the road to or access to finances is something that the government, or subnational government must think of. How do we make more money, get more income, whether internal or foreign direct investment that will expand our financial frontiers such that we have enough capital to invest in other sectors. Water is the gold and can be the gold of any state, because consumption comes with a cost. Consumption comes with a cost. And for our people, if they find any provider who can give them regular water supply, good enough for human consumption, the type that nourishes, not the one that will just quench the taste, because there's a difference between nourishment and quenching the taste. Nourishment is the one that will contain all essential vitamins and minerals for the body, good enough for the survival of the human internal organs and even the outer layer of your body. Okay, that leads to long life, more efficiency, healthy environment, and all of that. Longer life expectancy ratio, longer, and all of that. Now, if all this is done and they are sure that the right amount of chlorine is there in the water, devoid of the presence of lead that can cause several complications to the liver, kidney, and even some other internal organs of the body, even the brain, you will know that people will pay for what is good. Now, government must seek to do that. And that is what we're already designing. Yeah, the more a society grows without proper planning, the more complications you're going to have when you're trying to bring in new things. For instance, providing water, for a system. Because there are no passages as it is today. You have to bring down houses. You have to destroy infrastructure, public infrastructure already created by government, like the roads, and because you have to dig. and create bigger poles, you know, beneath the earth of you lay them. That will destroy a lot. So government doesn't have enough, not to talk of destroying the little that you already have. Therefore, they tend to overlook it and just continue. But my recommendation is this, that although we have identified that these are problems and it will, you know, attract extra cost, however, you can play around it. You put it in clusters, communities in clusters, okay? And you build a water reservoir for distribution within when I mean clusters, not just a network now for the entire state or entire senatorial district or entire local government as it then was. What it is a few streets, okay, with a couple of houses, maybe 100, maybe 200, or maybe 300, certainly not more than 500, will be much easier to control, and the piping or reticulation will also be much easier to get this water down. If we reticulate it in clusters like that, before you know it, the entire city will be covered. Okay, that is the best way. That is the worst way to go. It will create jobs. It will create more revenue. Okay, for our system. So that's what we're already. That's what we're already doing. In terms of looking at the books and creating, you know, a system strong enough to accommodate the gaps between what is, like I said before, and what ought to be. So we're not confused about what we are supposed to do. Okay, we will do it. There was no structure like this before now, but we are very conscious that this is the best time to do it. The second best time would have been yesterday. However, we are planning it and we are going to do it by the grace of God. Now, like I told you, we have other dams and water, facilities still existing. I have visited them. I have seen how dilapidated and neglected they are. And I think, and we have resolved that something has to be done to revive them. When we are seeking to do the bigger ones, the small ones we have now, we must bring manifest intention to it by doing it the way it is. He that is faithful will also be faithful in much. If faithful in little, you'll be faithful in much. So when people begin to see what you're already doing, it gives hope.
Yes.
You know, that this is a radical departure from what it used to be. Therefore, this is an administration that's clear-headed, and I feel something good will be done in this regard. So we're bringing hope, we're bringing confidence, okay? Not just the one that is not on the table, the one that is palpable, you can touch it, okay? And all of that. So for me, we are committed to that. I have also seen, because I saw when I was there before, that, you know, most of these things we call pure water, whether bottle, whether sachet, is just scam. It's just scam. If you see where they produce them, according to the Bible, if God opens your eyes to see what is on the ground, you'll be scared to put your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
I relate this story with that. If you see what they produce and how they produce it, you will not drink water. I'm telling you. It's doing more harm. Go and look at our life expectancy ratio today. You know, the life expectancy ratio from state to state varies, country to country varies. I am telling you, the life expectancy ratio of an average Nigerian is between 45 and 60 years. That's for 45 and 55 years.
Yes, 54.
If you get beyond that, well, it is luck. Life should not be a game of luck. It's not a postcard. Do you understand? It's something that is calculated to keep you in existence, you know, create and recreate in terms of procreation until you are old enough and the system begins to weaken. Death is far if you do not consume what is injurious.